All right, so I do these videos every now and again because if you're on my channel, chances are probably pretty good that you're dealing with at least one narcissist in your life, and one or more cluster B individuals, we'll say, right? So, I mean, on a broader scale, you've got at least one disordered person in your life, and part of the legacy of that, the ongoing legacy, is that they are constantly bringing you into current events. Now, maybe you're at a stage with these individuals, or this individual or individuals, in which you don't speak that much. That's great. So this video may not necessarily be for you, but for those who are constantly pulled into conversations about current events, you know that with a narcissist, there's never any arguing. You must agree or else you're attacking them, right? So sometimes you can't really do that because it's a work supervisor, it's in the workplace, or perhaps it's a family member, somewhere in which you cannot be true to yourself, and you also cannot agree with someone else. So I do these videos just to sort of give y'all a leg up, okay? So the current news, so there seems to be a cycle of every other year, abortion is a major story. It seems to skip a year, as far as I can tell, when I look at the history of the talking points and, well, just video dates on YouTube, really. It's every other year, it seems to come up. And so just some quick facts you need to know. And I'm going to preface this by saying that what I'm doing with this video, I'm not promoting one viewpoint or another. What I'm doing is, instead, I'm giving you a way of reframing this so that no matter whether or not you're dealing with somebody who's pro-life or pro-choice, they will agree with you. And ultimately, that's really what I'm providing you with. These are viewpoints that you will agree with no matter if you're pro-life or pro-choice, and that whatever the situation may dictate, they will also agree with you regardless of their viewpoints. It's amazing, I know, right? I'm selling you the cure. But no. So, a few quick facts. Okay, there's this narrative that, oh no, the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe versus Wade. No, they're not. They cannot, and it will never happen. There is such a thing with the Supreme Court called stare decisis, which is let the decision stand. They are the Supreme Court of the land, right? Hence the Supreme Court, okay? There's no higher opinion on law than them, period. For them to overturn Roe versus Wade or any of those other ones, first of all, overturning isn't necessarily something that the Supreme Court could even do if they wanted to, but they would have to want to, and that's going to be really, really hard for them to want to do that. Why? Because in essence, by overturning a previous Supreme Court ruling, what they would then be doing is undermining the sovereignty of their own institution, and it would be just a giant middle finger to themselves that says, you know what, our institution is flawed and cannot work. Where 9 justices failed to come up with an opinion, okay? So it'd be like going to a gun store, buying a shiny gun, and then shooting yourself in the foot to see if it works, okay? They're not going to do that. They're not going to sit down with the pen. You know, everybody worries about the 2 new justices, Kavanaugh and Barrett, you know, because they've upset the balance, right? They're not going to go in and the first thing they do is like, yay, now that I'm a Supreme Court justice, I'm going to really stick it to myself, right? No, because, I mean, that's literally what they would be doing. They're not going to do that. So it's not going to happen. Okay? So they're not overturning Roe versus Wade. What it is, and I see no reason why they shouldn't be doing this. As new laws are passed and they go through the appeals process, I mean, they go to district courts, they go up to appellate courts, and Supreme Court. That's just, how the court system works. And that just tells us that the court system is working exactly the way that it should work. And this is something to be celebrated and welcomed. After all, why wouldn't we want state legislatures to regularly be put in check about the laws that they write? Right? You want to make sure that, and we re-elect legislatures every 2 years. Okay, they're not made. Legislatures are not made in a factory. They're all representatives. The vast majority of them really have no background in law. They're known to get shit wrong. So there's that. We want this system in place to keep legislatures in line. You don't want to elect officials to write laws that you don't want to elect officials that can't write law to write law. You don't. And just because they write a law doesn't necessarily mean it's lawful or constitutional. So yeah, I mean, we want this. You should want these things, okay? Our legal system is working precisely the way it's supposed to. It's a good sign. It means that we are free to elect our officials in a democratic fashion, and have them write laws that ultimately are subjected to a higher power. Most of the time, by the time it makes it to the Supreme Court, the people who wrote those laws are no longer in their state legislatures. So, by that time, they're not even there anymore. So, anyways, so that alone is enough cause for people to settle down on all sides. The system's working exactly the way it should work. It's a good thing. You wouldn't know it because news organizations can't make any money unless they scare people. So that. Now, the second part of this is because I live in Texas, Governor Abbott just signed a heartbeat bill, which is one of the most egregious pro-life moves in recent history. If a fetal heartbeat can be detected, then an abortion is illegal. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter if you're pro-life or pro-choice. It doesn't matter if you think life begins at conception or at 6 weeks, or whether or not, hey, you know what, maybe it's a life, but as long as it can't feel pain, if it doesn't feel feelings, well, then who cares? Okay. Here's something to think about. Okay. And this is an angle nobody talks about. The very argument around abortion, there is an implied belief that women must be stupid. And I'm going to explain this, okay? Because you think, well, how is that possible? It's all about women's rights and reproductive rights. And we all know that whatever government institutions are doing, it's never for the reasons they say, okay? I mean, it's not, okay? But consider this. Have you thought about how many contraception options there are for men and women? How many? Do you know? Does anybody know? I know because I looked it up. So the FDA, there are 19 contraceptive methods that are approved by the FDA. Now, let's think about this objectively for a minute, because the issue with abortion, what it comes down to is it's an unplanned, unwanted pregnancy, right? So remove abortion from the equation for a minute. We have 19 FDA-approved contraceptive methods. That's not even including the ones that the FDA has yet to approve. I know they're doing studies on new techniques such as Vasogel and pulling out. I'm interested to see those results. But let's think about this strictly objectively. The problem to be solved here is unwanted pregnancy. We have a minimum of 19 options to help prevent that from happening. That's not including abortion. Abortion is not an FDA-approved contraceptive method. To say that we are encroaching on women's rights and women's health with a legal, with law, legal, it's a legal question, is irrelevant, because that's not the question. The question is, can we prevent unwanted pregnancies with a minimum of 19 different ways of doing it? Yes. And so where I say that to argue for abortion, there's this, it's an intrinsic suggestion that people are stupid. And we all know people are stupid, yes, right? People are dumb. But it begs the question of, why isn't that being discussed? We got 19 options. Now, of those 19 options, 3 are for men, okay? And technically, there's 2 that are for men and 1 that is shared, okay? So men have vasectomies, condoms, and then they share one with women, which is spermicide all to itself. And so then the remaining, however many, 19, 17, the remaining 15, 16 are all for women. So men got 2 options. Women got 16 options, and they share 1. So 2, 16. Now you have 8 times as many options. And again, that's just what the FDA approves. 8 times as many options for women to prevent pregnancy than what men have. You're either wearing a condom and you can't feel anything, you can slam it in a car door and feel nothing, or you got to go have a surgery. The options for women really aren't better. There's not a single option you can take that doesn't have some really unpleasant side effects. I mean, ladies, you know what those are. I'm not talking about it, but y'all know. But still, well, what are the side effects of abortion? Abortion is not, it doesn't tickle. It's not a consequence-free option. It's a very invasive procedure. And I can imagine if you had to choose between an abortion procedure or the side effects of a pill, I mean, every individual is different. I know what I would go for. But again, that would just be me. Can we prevent unwanted pregnancy? Yeah, sure. Very reasonably, yes. Well, but then we get into the issue of, well, contraceptives are expensive. You have to go see a doctor. I don't have insurance. Well, if only we had a women's health clinic that provided affordable health care options for women in women's health. Oh, like planned pregnancy, which is where plenty of women go for their contraceptives to begin with. So it begs the question, I mean, if Planned Parenthood could prevent pregnancies to begin with 19 options at their disposals, we want to have the discussion about whether or not the government should be subsidizing abortion. Well, we should sure as hell be subsidizing preventive measures, contraceptives. Why the hell not? See, because here's the thing. You no longer have to ask the moral questions if the problem never happens to begin with. I've looked at abortion data. Overwhelmingly, the number of abortions are optional, elective abortion procedures. Very, 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 very few are for emergency reasons or medically necessary reasons or for instances of rape and incest. Okay, those things do definitely happen. they are a small number, and for that, yes, I mean, we're not going to outlaw it, and we can't, stare decisis. The Supreme Court will never outlaw abortions, period. And anybody can agree that it shouldn't be something that doctors can't do. We should just empower ourselves and wield the power that we do have to simply prevent it from ever happening to begin with. I mean, we have all the, it's like we've got all the ingredients for the cake set out on the counter, and then we don't know how to put it all together into a bowl, right? So we've set out the cake mix, you know, we've got the cake mix, the milk, the eggs, the bowl, and we sit there and argue over whether or not eggs are a cake. Would you do that? Would you? I mean, we're having the argument over whether or not milk is the cake or whether or not eggs are the cake. No, it's stupid. And the thing is the more you talk about something, the more people believe it. And the people that write these narratives can get enough people reading it and talking about it, where the more people talk, the more they believe. They have that kind of bandwidth. And so you get pulled into these ways of thinking and talking and engaging with each other that are divisive. And if it's divisive, then problems just don't get solved. And that means it's a problem that they don't want us solving for ourselves. But these talking points get wielded by narcissists and by sociopaths, psychopaths, egomaniacs, megalomaniacs, all of the acts, whatever, for the purposes of, boosting your own ego, feeling smart, sounding like you know what you're talking about, conflict seeking, and all these other purposes. No. We can get the number of abortions down. Because it doesn't matter if you're pro-choice. Being pro-choice doesn't mean you're pro-abortion. Like there's nobody out there holding a sign that says we need more aborted babies. You're not going to see anybody doing that. You won't. And if you do, maybe in that instance, maybe it's good that if they get pregnant, maybe the smart thing to do would be to abort that child so that we don't have those genes in our gene pool. God knows that they would not be fit to be a good parent. But I digress. The point of this is, if and when these topics go around, and they are, because abortion season's coming up, it's not going to go away. There's a pattern to these things. Just talk about, we can get the number of abortions down. Right? But then we don't have to have these conversations. Let's talk about how to get the number of abortions down. Get more contraceptives out there. Or just clue people in that when you put the P in the V, a baby comes out. I thought we taught that in school. So that's what I got. Do please like, comment, or share. I always love to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts. I hope I've prevented I hope I've presented these topics. Again, I'm not pushing a political agenda, because I'm both. I'm pro-life and pro-choice, and I think the vast majority of people find themselves in that position. Like, abortion's a terrible thing, but sometimes we gotta have it, and whatever. That's fine. Let's just minimize. Let's just minimize how much of it we do, and keep it from happening. We can totally do that. Let's make a cake. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video.